Hello everyone, and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. We're continuing our mechanized streak today because I do so often play motorized and I'm really just not that used to it. And right away I'm just going to say I made a bit of a mistake here, and it's one that I make a lot playing mechanized, which is splitting my stuff up way too much. Now, I've been told this before. If you disagree, if you think that's a good thing, then please feel free to let me know. But the basic gist is I don't put enough anywhere to really win the push, and that's certainly true here. I have Wildcats, I have a lot going to Foxtrot, I have a fair amount going to Delta, and then my push through Bravo is sort of anemic because of it. And my opponent's is very not. So I'm playing against Shaweet here, who is a Sergeant Major, and we're going to get stuffed right away by some T-72s, some Patobranchi, lots of things there with way more firepower than I can really do. My automatic is exposed, and I don't yet have the forethought to pull him back. So right when he goes up to that forward section of woods, I'm going to start pulling him back, but M84ANs, T72s, all of that, it's infinite sadness, and even more as my MOU missed his shots and then is getting shot himself in return, and I mean, very lucky that he didn't die right there. And you can see, Shaweet has just way more in the center, so I've immediately lost that part of Bravo. I'm trying to hold on to this part of Bravo. We're getting some things up into Delta, and then when it comes down to it, I mean, this is not enough really to block a push on this side either. A couple of M41A1 scouts, Storm Engineer, a Wildcat up to the side, and I mean, this is actually kind of funny for that Laros versus all of this. And I'm hoping maybe we can get an M84, so RBS shooting in, and they are backing up, but the smoke is in the wrong place. And could have been the right place if I'd done this properly, but the fact that I'm really only over on this side does mean we got some little bit of relief there. Scout Defender's also moving up just sort of to do something in this game, because I was feeling the pressure at this point. It's only a couple minutes in, and I was already sort of very like, geez, this is not how you want it to go. So this is a bit of a longer game, and I do apologize for that. We will go through at roughly speed 2 or some of the lulls in it, but I think the ending was actually really kind of fun, and shows off a lot of what Scandi Mech can do if given enough time. And then the thing that I need to figure out is how to make that amount of time lower. So we have another plane going in, a Puff, just looking for radar AA. We do find it. It was just well microed, so that's part of what's giving me a problem there. And at least the RBS are fending some things off. Now, I'm getting some reinforcements here, just because if I don't hold this part of Gulf, then yeah, I mean, that's my spawn, that's sort of the game. I only have one command vehicle out right now anyway, so if they can get to it, I'm in deep trouble. And here's the thing, L18 on this side, we're getting some good combats in Bravo, but Motostrelchi will chew through my Dragoner, especially when there's, looks like 4 to 2, so outnumbered 2 to 1 here. And my own Dragoner and Falstrom Jäger trying to move up. I'm also trying to get some supporting fire from the STRF, which might be able to turn the tide just a little bit. That Bofors is a very, very impactful gun if allowed to fire. So the key with these guys, just like, I treat them just like Martyr 2s, basically. They're good fire support, they just need to hold back just far enough in order to not get killed. So, I do actually do a little bit of a stupid thing there. My Puff goes down to an L18 that was already circling, and if that doesn't tell you how stressed I was, I don't know what will. And now we also have another problem. So, this ATGM team was originally supposed to go up here. And the reason is because I wanted to deny this section to the Red 4 player, because this is how they reinforce into the town on the far side. Right, so if I had an ATGM here, that would be a side shot on the M84. Well, maybe a frontal shot. Anyway, we'd be able to screen them out. And because I had to defend on this side, I haven't been able to do that. So I need more stuff going to there if I'm going to have a chance of holding in Bravo. You can see right now, I'm falling for something that I would criticize in others right now, which is, this is Punch Bowl. The high value zones are Delta and Charlie. Play over Delta and Charlie. And right now I'm playing over the 1 pointer in the center, when what I should be doing is trying to exploit on this side, try and get up, in, and around. And I am doing some of that. Falstrom Jäger here with Carl Gustav M2. One of the days I wished it was the M3, because I didn't quite have the range to shoot at the recon that was behind that Spat Bov. It was a nice little chip though, 30 points from the Falstrom Jäger, so no complaints there. And you can see I'm trying to get a relatively cheap screen. The 103D is just there to give that rate of fire from those Swedish S-tanks against something like an infantry rush, or I mean, it's basically what I would do at this point if I was them, is just throw things this way and see what happens. And we actually did have some luck as well with the M41A1s. Don't underestimate these guys. They can spot things, and they can wreck things that don't have good optics, even if they're more expensive than the M41A1s themselves. So most of the ammunition in the Bofors is actually already being used, but you can see we've turned this into something quite atrocious for Shaweet here. So My Dragoner, one group of them is lost, but we've killed a bunch of Motostrelchi, and sort of, I think, made it kind of worthwhile. Plus, we've called in some, well, hold on. We've made it so that he has to pull in a flame tank, which, that's 35 points, that's pretty specialized, so you're gonna really not have the best tank performance out of that for the point cost. And my RBS were able to move over, shifting from here into the town on the far side, and now getting that nice fire in, so we actually deny that tank immediately. And then the STRF probably shouldn't have been doing that with this, I probably should have been using another M41A1, but just trying to get up there and see what I can see, which unfortunately is a bunch of Padobranki. So T-72 is spotted, that's just a 40-point tank, not really the biggest prize, but because I occasionally do not smart things, I have an MLU that's going after it. There's a lot of T-72 somethings in Soviets, and I saw the tank and I really didn't even stop to think about it at the time. So we get the shot off on the turn, which is very nice, and that's going to be evac ordered here. So more reinforcements going up, and I have been able to get some FSK around. So the idea here was, I don't know, prevent them from moving through with the False Grimagri and the FSK, and then get one group around the side to infiltrate through into Charlie, and potentially get into the ooey gooey bits in the back line, which are where you get most of your points asymmetry. I do also have a +2 ticking because, for some odd reason, I capped Delta, he capped Echo. This also told me that my opponent might not really be playing in Charlie that much. There was some stuff here, but if you don't secure something, you don't cap it. So his choice to go for the low value zone instead of the high is what made me then do this. FSK moving the open ground, False Grimagri pushing up against the Snezka, and there's Padobranki 90 here, which was a little bit unfortunate. I was hoping you wouldn't have anything there. My FSK will not be able to handle that in the open ground. We get another kill, and my False Grimagri recon infantry will be headed through on the left side of Charlie just to spot, and this is purely a reaction to seeing the Echo cap. Because I just thought to myself, okay, well, he's not comfortable with Charlie, let's push in Charlie. Push where your opponent is weak, and defend where they are strong to grind down that advantage until you can do push of your own. We have now also been hit by a little bit of a thermomig here, which is going to be a persistent problem as the game goes on, and we're also noticing a couple of things about the Red Fort player. So Shaweet has brought out a large number of T-72s, the T-55A, and there's, I don't know, it almost felt like he was playing a mech deck sort of style, but not using a mech deck, which means my stuff will generally be higher veterancy for the equivalent, or higher availability for the equivalent sort of performance. So he's trying to use cheap to mid-tier tanks and vehicles against a deck that specializes in cheap to mid-tier tanks and vehicles. It's a bit of a choice. It's like the deck building advice that's on the Reddit that's done way better than anything I could ever give even says, don't take a specialized deck unless you have to. And I guess my addendum to that would be, don't play a deck like it's specialized unless you have to. There's a reason that the full range of units are in each one of the decks is there to be used appropriately and used together. And so when you don't really have a heavy anchor, it can get a little bit challenging. MLU is going after the T-55. This was entirely to see if I could then cross this section of woods, but there's AA there, the MLU gets stunned. I was really freaking out when that happened because I was worried I was going to get chased, and there it is, L-18, but we are able to get out just in time, and we did also see there's another Spatbov 3, which to me says, okay, these FSK are on the side, we're going to go up through the woods, we're going to sneak down this way and try and ambush that Bulv around his back arc. I've also gotten some paratroopers in the Bell 204s, which this has actually made me crack up in the middle of the game, because they're out of fuel. And my intention with them was to get them over to about here, and then drop them off and get into the towns in this section, and just deny reinforcements into Charlie. It's a nice way to choke that whole zone, but I wasn't quite able to do it. So Liv Garden are fighting. Unfortunately, the 912A is going to be getting out, and that Thermomig is starting to take its toll. My Ihawk's a little bit too late with the anti-air, but I was just trying to get things on the ground, and until that Thermomig and the L-18, well, okay, there was a fair amount in the air. But I didn't really want to take that air fight. I'm trying to play a little bit less in my air tab, which, yeah, I know, I'm not always great at doing, but that was the intention. So these FSK are going to be moving up and through. We also have more around this side going after the Spatbov, and I'm starting to lose Bravo. So the Flame Tank's doing some interesting things here. I don't think they actually hit all that much of my infantry, but they are denying that sort of town, and my other reinforcements were too late. So I spent those points, can't get them back, and that's really, it's a bit of a tempo problem when all you have are tracked transports, like the NM-135. I love this transport because of the gun on top, but this is also a bit of a problem. We're getting hit by ATGMs from these BVPs. I think, don't underestimate Mount Lucas either, because they might never work for you, but they should work for your opponent. So FSK did come up here, and we did get a little bit of fire in, but there was infantry guarding the spat bow. So what I'm doing is I went up, I used the Erics, and now we're pulling back, disengaging. We're going to be trying it again. Unfortunately, 2 Fosgrim cannot handle this, so there was a nice response from Shaweet on that side of the board. Okay, so Thermomix coming in again, and we are trying to go after him, this time 2 iHawks and the MLU, trying to get those guns in, and there goes one of the Thermomigs. Finally a bit of revenge, and not even cheap revenge, that's pretty expensive. And I just wish I had a bit more stuff here, because, I mean, RBS, it's nice if you're fending off helicopter. They're nice when you have a hold, but it was pretty expensive, and losing these guys sort of was the final shoe to drop in Bravo. So, taking a look back, my opponent has capped Echo, I have Delta, but I don't have all that much stuff here, and I need to get more down on the far side. Bravo has gone against me, my FSK have done okay in Charlie, but I felt my hold on this game kind of slipping, even though I would argue I've gotten some good kills and some good value. I've also lost some value here and lost a lot of board position. And at the end of the day, this is Conquest. It's about field position. And if you don't have a good one, there's really not much you can do. I've lost against any number of people who have, just thrown their stuff at me, and I wasn't able to fend it off. But it doesn't matter if it cost them an arm and a leg, because they got the board position they needed. By the way, MVP, Fagerlund and his FSK squad, just truly amazing. I think they got something like 160, 180 points worth of kills in the back part of Charlie. So, I do have RBS on the high ground here. I'm trying to make sure that they can't sneak anything by me. I'm trying to make sure that they can't get anything up here for free, and a couple of ATGMs will often fend people off on this side of the map because they'll think, oh, okay, this is well fortified. If I throw things through here, I'm just going to lose them. And that may or may not actually be true. So, it's a risk. It's a risk I'm usually not willing to take, and it's a risk that most people, from my perspective, and from my experience, limited though it may be, are not really willing to take all the time. So, I'm getting more stuff on the board. I'm trying to prepare a hold on this side of Bravo, and then my intention is get some stuff here, and then change the paradigm, because that Bravo fight really didn't go my way, and I need to do something different, something unexpected. Now there is a Charlie cap as well, so instead of ticking up, I'm at 132 points, but Shaweet now is ticking. I love that call sign. I'm just having so much fun saying it, but yeah, so all of this is meant to make this side unassailable. It's across open ground anyway, so I'd be surprised if he did anything, and the 103Bs can really wreck armor at close range. So FSK are spotted, I'm trying to move back, but there's a recon helo there for a reason, and we get intercepted by Pada Blanki, and down they go. So, kind of a sad end to a pretty inspirational unit from my side of the board. We do also have Dragoner, M41A1s, just enough to hold in Foxtrot while we get something else moving. That's going to be a CV, it's going to be some infantry, and we're going to push through Foxtrot, we're going to try and go into Echo, and collapse this side of the board. That's the goal. And it's not fighting in Charlie just because, well, because sometimes I make bad decisions. Probably the more valuable play is to go through here and get that part of the woods, but we saw reinforcements coming up, we saw Pada Blanki in this part of Charlie, he's secure enough in it to cap. I've lost my FSK on that side, I didn't really have a hold there, and it was just a lot of reasons that made it seem intimidating, particularly when everything is so slow as a mechanized deck. So, FSK on this side do get some nice value as well, and I'm trying to make them use their Erics instead of the LMG3, just because that's going to be higher value, hopefully relatively instant kills on vehicles, tanks, anything like that. And then the split here was just so that I could draw their attention in on this side, and then have the FSK on this side hit things as they go down this little bit of a, well, that's not a slope, that's a curve. As they go through this curving section of woods directly into the reinforcing zone. And we do get that on the way. FSK unfortunately take a bit of a beating, but that's a 30-point Bove, which immediately, well, almost pays for these guys. If they can kill even one more thing, that is good enough. We have also stopped the bleed with Cap and Foxtrot, but that does leave Bravo for my opponent, which is not really ideal. MLU gets the kill, down goes that F-18, and we're going to be evac ordered. Not a lot of anti-air on that side of Charlie, but there is a significant amount now in these sections of woods. That is going to draw immediate counterfire from my B-Can, which is already aiming, but I don't know, this is not really what a B-Can 1A is meant for. You have pretty high dispersion, 7 HE power, unless it's something like an ASAMS that's a 5 strength truck, it's going to be a hard thing to really get. On the other hand, FSK doing yeoman's work, and I just wish I had more of them back there. BVP is getting killed, Motostrelchi being misdirected, I guess, is a decent enough way of putting it, and a lot of value there on that side. Now, on this side, STRVs, Dragoner, more Dragoner, and I'm just trying to present a spiky little porcupine end for this. We're actually getting shot from across the way, and that tells me recon tank or enemy recon close enough, followed by a tank that's heavier than my STRVs can manage. So we're going to be, hopefully, pulling back. Yep, there he is, pulling back. My Dragoner pulling back as well, and I was a little worried. That is another reason I didn't really push in more, is just I thought it would cost me a lot. So, Potobranchi spotted, but Dragoner and Livgarden are relatively cost-effective infantry, NM135 following, and I'm trying right now, as I said earlier, to shift the paradigm. I'm hoping we've been able to pull enough attention in Charlie and Bravo, and then back in Alpha, where now's the time to go, grab that field position and hold it as hard as we can. M84 spotted, and that is going to be a bit of a problem, particularly because, I mean, yeah, there's no way we can get it with that, but actually we did end up killing, I think, one, maybe even both of those transports, stranding their infantry and damaging their infantry before they can get into the town, so don't underestimate those guys. They are very, very good. My ATGM plane's unfortunately still getting healed up, so that's why he's not already on the way headed to that M84, which, I don't know, a plane is the way to handle tanks when you don't have things out there properly, but I didn't. So SRV 103D is going to get some nice shots in, and I don't know, I've been really enjoying Swedish S-tanks. I've also been really enjoying Blue Dragons tanks at the moment. Going to be probably going back to Blue Dragons a bit more often these days. And that was another 40-pointer T-72, but one shot, one kill, and a rapid reload is all you really need. In the meantime, Recon Infantry headed up and through here, and I'm trying to sort of expand this bridgehead as Livgarden and Dragoner are getting a little bit ground down. Mistake there from my part as well, getting just absolutely rolled by the M84. I didn't think he'd have vision between all those buildings. But what you don't expect definitely can kill you. So here's another thing I want to just stop real quick and say. That M84 moving back and then the decap on Echo told me a lot of things. I'd previously bombed this part just, I mean, kind of for shits and giggles, I guess, to see if I could get a free CV kill. But the fact that he moved it back when he saw my Storm Engineer means it's probably in this section of woods or right here. So it's definitely on this side. It wasn't necessarily that I couldn't kill it with the bombs. It's probably over here. And that gives me a location to focus my push. So, in the meantime, we're going to get more stuff headed down to secure Delta, and this is, I mean, we're just continuing on, right? So M41A1's trying to shoot in, trying to get some kills, and the 103D denying the other edge to my opponent. But this is a lot of stuff. Proletary 90 hit like you would not believe, better Apple losses because of reasons, and there goes a lot of my armor and my support. So the STRV is going to be pulling back. I don't want to take on that M84A on my own, but a Fighting Falcon, and let's see what we can get here with that Fighting Falcon. BVPs, Proletary 90, and the BRDM2. I did lose the Fighting Falcon, I think, but that combined with the artillery support has been pretty brutal for dissuading any sort of counter push on that side of the map. I do apologize for the sirens. They're not here for you. They are here for... No, never mind. They're not here for me either, fortunately. It's the perks of living in a city. So, Puff heading in, just trying to look for radar anti-air, and I should have known better, because I'm playing against at least, we're playing against Entente. That probably means Neva M1Ts, some of the best non-radar anti-air in the entire game. Scout Defender just moving up to see what I can see, and indeed no command vehicle on that side, and I think we actually did kill it with the Beacon 1A, so that's why Echo's decapped. And that right now means we're 132 points to 123 points, and the only issue is we need to really secure Echo in order to get more of a point gain on our own side. You can see I'm definitely trying to do that here. Lots of Livgarden, lots of cheap, and then a couple of expensive fire support transports. Bushmaster 2s are just absurdly good at close range, and that M91 Vihor getting smacked by 103D, we got the first shot, we got the last shot. That's all you need sometimes. The other problem, though, is the M84. I don't want to poke my head out. I have 1 point of strength left, and if he gets the first shot, then that would really, really hurt. So instead, Livgarden are going through. I'm trying to get shots on with the autocannons if I can. But they're getting a bit distracted by Mostrelchi, and that's going to be one shot, and a bit of a miss. Second shot, there it is. Dead M84, and now we're cooking with gas. I do need more anti-air, though, as always. MLU barely making it out alive, and that Super Gallop is going to be an issue, because it's only two ATGM missiles, but good range, amazing accuracy, and it's a very, very strong unit. So we did, by the way, spot, it's not M1Ts, M1s. I'm not really sure why that used for my opponent, but that just means his micro with them is even better because we weren't able to spot them ever with the puff. So, goodness gracious, I love this song. Okay, we're holding on this side. There's no counter push yet, but there might be one when the game gets a little bit closer to the end here. And we were actually chatting at this point. He was saying, "How do you have so much stuff?" Which, if anything's going to make you feel like you're doing mechanized right, it's your opponent going, "Oh, there's more. How is there more?" But not all of it's staying alive. So let's go a little bit faster here for just a second. STRV is trying to screen out that section, and really nice use of Flame Tank there, actually, because my Storm Engineer can't push up this town now, in addition to killing my Live Garden. So I was trying to get the M2 online, instead I'm just getting shot in the open, and very much not happy about it. But, ooh, goodness gracious, this is a long one. But if we can continue succeeding here, I think that could be a very good thing for us. So Stormer getting some shots in, and those Carl Gustav M2s probably, I don't know, they're not 20 rounds a minute, but I think that's the only real issue with them. Amazing accuracy, amazing AP power, but just if they could fire a little faster, that would have gotten us some BVP kills, even if it was down to, say, 15, 16 armor piercing. But Stormer are amazing for other reasons. They'll lick to MG3, which is very nice. Shock training, of course, and they're just sort of a mainstay, along with Live Garden, of a cheap front line that still has a bit of punch. That, of course, with Dragoner as well. So automatics moving up, I'm trying to fend off this Super Gallop, and we'll see if it works, but I haven't seen a Seed Plate yet either. So I'm hoping we also can get some nice punch, maybe some nice fire support from this guy as well, if needs must. And I'm trying to avoid that, because 103Bs are a little bit cheaper. They're also, they fire very fast, and my goal was to never really let my automatics see the front line. Question is if I can actually make that happen. So NM135's moving forward again, just trying to draw some targets for the 103Bs, which we did end up losing one and then losing two to Padobranchi. Very unhappy with that, but it's what I get for not having an infantry screen up in front of those tanks. So you live and you learn, and you don't repeat those mistakes if you want to get better at the game, which I think we all definitely do, pretty much regardless of current skill. So Stormer, NM135s, this is how those Pados should have been handled from the beginning, and then there is a tank coming out on this side, which, I don't know, I was kind of wondering if that's going to be another cheap T-72, but we're heading into the woods there, and it looks a little bit bigger and meaner than that, and it ends up, I think this is a super heavy, yep, M91A Vihor, 170 point Yugoslavian monstrosity, and the Gallop's coming in, so I'm not really sure what he's headed for, actually just getting the M135, which is a little bit comical, but we were able to save our STRV 103D, and now I'm just pulling back and saying, okay, I have no way of handling that right now. It's a heavier tank than anything I can fight, so instead, let's just get into the town here, let's get a Dragoner, let's clear out this side and put pressure on that way, which might still be enough to let me cap the zone. If I can get command infantry in here, that gives me a +1, and it might also just make my opponent a little bit too uncomfortable to get a cap going in this side of Echo. So here comes the Vihor, and this is brave. No smoke on the open ground, and he is spotted by Falskrim Jägeri. Now I can't shoot him with anything, so I'm actually really upset that the STRV 103D fired. Yeah, 1 point of damage was not worth losing that guy. But we're gonna try to come up with an answer there, and for the life of me, I still don't know what it is, even though this game is over. I just didn't really know what to throw at it, other than more infantry, maybe try and get some smoke and then push into the woods from this side, get anti-tank weapons from the infantry to do the job. But Dragoner are doing their job very, very well here, so MG3 is just standard, but I'd say they're probably better than Motostrelci, and the Live Garden to back them up is going to be all that much more powerful. M91AV who are getting a couple shots in, and you can see for the first time in the game it kind of feels like the Red 4 players maybe a little on the back foot. Before we were in Bravo, we had some success in Charlie, but still the second I tried to push in, that ended really poorly as well. And he's actually moving some other units over there. It's the M84AN pulling back from Charlie, and it's going to be taking that whole long road down this way just because he's feeling that much pressure to take this zone, which I was happy with that, more than happy with that indeed. So, Fighting Falcon coming in, looking for the Padobranchi, and unfortunately gonna be intercepted by that anti-air. When will I learn? Not really sure. We did get a kill or two on that, on his reinforcements, but probably not enough to justify it. Yeah, that was a bit rough. Storm Engineer, by the way, decent punch against Padobranchi, even though they're in forest. If they were just out of the forest, I think that would have actually gone the way of the Storm Engineer. The Carl Gustav M2 with 15 rounds a minute, 2 HE. pretty deadly against infantry, and if I had gotten a little bit of support a little bit quicker too, that would have been a tad better. But still, we might get the kill and actually do there. It wasn't because of these guys, but it was very, very much worthwhile. Scanians arrived a bit late, by the way. These were intended for my 103D that I've already lost. And let's go ahead and get into the late game, because that late game push is going to be absolutely beautiful. High stakes and all of that. Podobranki getting hit by Live Garden, and I figured, you know, let's change the paradigm again. We switched over, had some good success in Echo. We've seen him moving some stuff over from Charlie. Maybe he's done the same from Bravo. Let's get up and into these sections of town. I have artillery shooting in from the Beacon 1A just to see if we can grind anything out there. Live Garden moving up and in, and an MLU call out for a Bove, which, again, kind of not my smartest move. And we do get taken down there as well. Definitely not worthwhile. But, I don't know, it did unstun my Live Garden and allow them to move through without getting just eviscerated by direct fire from anti-air, which is way stronger against infantry than it has any right to be. But now we have a foothold. So Shaweet has capped Echo again, and he's actually finally overtaken us in score 134 to 132. But if I can get a toehold in Bravo, a toehold in Echo, if I can counter cap one or both of them, maybe take out my opponent's CV as well, then that's the pressure that we need to do, and we've had some, or maybe even enough success with it. Proletarian 90 will be an issue though, and I wish my Live Garden were able to shoot in, so I'm trying to see if I have good micro, they'll move over to this town and intercept, but I don't know if that's the case. I actually genuinely don't remember. Doesn't look like it, but it's still enough to stun, still enough to panic. Ah, that's why. I was trying to stay out of the way of the main tank gun. Knew there was a reason. Good. Good. So M41A1s and a couple of STRVs moving up and forward, and I mean, I had this set up for defense, but now is not the time for defense. Now is the time to go out swinging, if we have to go out at all. So, more RBS shooting in, and just denying the reinforcements in with BVP M80As is my entire goal. Unfortunately not enough. The Proletary do grind through my Live Garden, and that is a bit of a problem. But my other reinforcements have already been sent other places. We're moving, we're grooving, we're trying to get that last couple bit of points denied, as Shaweet has to be sitting here going, come on, just hold for 6 more minutes, and he can get this whole game, this whole long slog, back and forth between two grindy players and grindy decks. So, M91A Vihor does take a shot, RBS shooting in potentially one more time as the Vihor's just sitting right there. I couldn't believe my luck for this second shot, and if we can get a third one, I mean, how heavy frontal armor is that? 22, because it's taken, geez, just an absolute pounding. And this has to be just because of micro stress, so you hate to see that sort of loss there, but I think Shaweet was fighting in Bravo, and here comes the STRVs, the Wildcat, more M41A1s, more STRVs, everything pushing up and into this section of town. And I already have command infantry on the way, and my goal is counter cap in Bravo, get this back to a +1, find his CV if I can, and maybe even make it go in my favor again, but I just need to stop that bleed. That's all I wanted to do. Unfortunately, ATGM plane not really being screened out the best because my iHawks have stayed back, and I should have in hindsight pushed them forward to about here, and then probably to about there, just to deny enemy planes, but I hadn't at the time. And this is not necessarily going my way either. The M84AN is doing some really good work. My 103B is about to encounter some infantry and have to move back because Mostrelchi, 3 of them can kill this tank at close range. I mean, it's just don't have enough armor for it. And I was sitting there going, okay, if that M84AN gets an angle, I lose my command infantry and I lose this game. But instead, we were actually able to decap the Beacon 1A, killing his command infantry, I'm pretty sure, in Bravo, and then we might even be able to flip the zone if I can get right here, right then. A strip BV90 also pushing up on this side, and I know what you're thinking right now is, are you insane? There's a Vihor over here, all you have is RBS that are now basically out of ammunition, and an STRF 9040, maybe an automatic, maybe some Storm Engineer, but I mean, come on, you can't seriously be thinking about countercapping here, but I am. I promise you I am. As we get Bravo, we get back to a +1, 4 minutes left. That +1 would probably only get us to a tie. And I don't think we're playing this game for ties at the moment. 103D shooting in, gets 1 hit, and unfortunately facing the frontal armor of the AN, that's going to be a tough fight, plus I want to stay out of range of the Monostrelchi that we're moving back this side, and that's why, so lose that tank. But I have 2 more headed up, and if we can get shots through the woods here, that is going to be enough. Down goes the AN, NM135 is pushing forward, Storm Engineer pushing forward, everything moving up, including the command vehicle here, getting in and counter-capping Echo. That's a +2 in the closing minutes of this game as the Super Gallop goes down to an iHawk. This is why I love doing this. It's like, yeah, you know, I lose a lot of games as well. But games like this, where you have that tough fight, and it's just knockdown, drag out, no holds barred, nothing like that, and you still just, it comes down to the last couple minutes. It's just a beautiful part of this game, in my opinion. So, RBS screening out my automatic moving forward because I care less about the automatic than I do the command vehicle, who's taking fire and still not dying, so just being the anchor that I need right now. That was beautiful. Fenix, by the way, this was because my command infantry have no guard. There's no other infantry with them. There should have been, but I didn't send anything forward, so the Fenix are there to discourage the Motostrelchi moving forward on that side, if I can. Unfortunately, we lose the automatic, but he did a lot of good work here first, and if I was smart, I would have turned off the gun on the command vehicle, but I always forget to do that, so not really the best here. And we're still behind, by the way, so 171 to 176. If we're going to not tie, it's going to be just by the thinnest of margins, as my command vehicle does get killed by Podobranki 90. Back to a +1. If we can hold it for 2 minutes, we might just be able to edge out not a tie, but it'd be probably the closest determination for that I've ever seen. This was pretty nice, though. The 103Ds able to get through and into the forest here, and then actually potentially collapse on this side of Echo. So I really didn't know which way to go, because if I go this way through the woods, I might run into some infantry, lose them both. On the other hand, this is where all that anti-air was coming from, and I did want to get kills there. And on the other hand, I mean, there's Pado here that need to die, FSK that need to do some clearing out work, and we're actually, I think, yeah, already getting another command vehicle into Echo, because I want that +2 if I can get it, even just for another 30 seconds to widen the gap as much as humanly possible. And maybe even more. We'll see. Second automatic's coming up. I was surprised there was no counter push through the Fox after I lost the section of town there. He does have some infantry over in that section, and in a game like this, you gotta just throw it all at the wall at this point, because the slightest of edges will save you the game. Wildcat does spot the enemy infantry there, but not enough to kill it, and an MI-35 is going to make life difficult if you can stay out of range of the automatic there. But those are Kokons. They're pretty good, 55% accuracy, decent stabilizer, and I think he actually might have lost vision. This was beautiful, by the way. M91 AV-4 versus two 103Ds at close range. Fire rate does matter. Each one dealing, I think, 2 points of damage per hit, so yep, there it is. Down to 6, down to 2, and down to 0. We kill that 170-point tank there at close range with two 90-pointers. Felt very good, felt very nice. So, jeez, goodness gracious. I don't even know if we're actually going to have time to get the command vehicle up and into Echo, but even if we don't, this has been just a really fun game, honestly, really, really fun game. So, FSK getting forward, STRF getting forward, we're finally now into the side of Echo completely, and I don't know where his command vehicle was. It might have been up on the high ground now. That's probably what I would do if I got cleared out of the low ground once there already. But that's going to be 8, 7, 6, and that's game. And it was actually a minor victory. Just by the hairiest of margins, minor victory there. Kills and losses, actually less balanced than I thought they would be, 4,000 to 3,205, and I think a lot of that came at the end, with the Vihor kill, with clearing out some of the woods a couple of times, and then with getting kills on things like the AN, as well as the Super Gallop. I think that just added up toward the end of the match. So MVPs are going to be the FSK. This is the one that was sort of through the back. Really, most of that did very well. The RBS always performed pretty well, T-72, M84, things like that. And then very happy with the MLU, just wish I hadn't thrown it away a little bit stupidly. So that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you all for hanging around, and we'll see you again real soon.